First of all, I would like to thank organizers for inviting me here in Poland. It was my first time to be here, and even though my legs regret, my heart is full with great memories, and I will visit Poland again very soon. Today, I would like to present you a case from Montenegro. It's very interesting because in 90s we have a concept of microstate that was developed in our intellectual sphere. We thought that we will manage to accomplish that microstate concept, but in fact we got more socialistic country with 90,000 employees in state administration. It's somewhere more than 50% of all employees in Montenegro. And somehow we have the right nanny state, the state which is guarding all the citizens by employing them and giving them everything they need. So it will be great to see how it happened and why we didn't. I need just to mention on the beginning that we never had such number of libertarian economists like at this moment who are on top position in our country, but they put our country in very socialistic country. So in general, I think that our main paternalistic spirit is beginning with our history. Tomasz said that we had a history full with many wars, and I like to say sometimes that there is no war that we skipped. So we are basically, it is our national sport. So in general, I think those wars created that paternalistic relation with country, and we are somehow feeling obligation to country and to serve it like it's our mother or father or anything like that. It's very rare you can hear, for example, in Montenegro, that people are criticizing government or something like that, and mostly those who are criticizing are marked as enemies of the country. So it's very rare. Is actually often case nowadays when you have people who are trying to improve country, they are marked as enemies. First of all, I would like to start with 90s. In that time, Professor Vukotic, who is a rector at my university, established the concept of microstate. He saw Montenegro as a micro country in process of globalization, and it was the only opportunity for Montenegro to become competitive on the global scale. He developed very interesting concept, and he tried first to educate the generations of new people, economists who will understand this, and he managed to do that. I will say he created 2 prime ministers, several ministers, a lot of businessmen, a lot of NGO leaders who understand concept of microstate and who were in position to do that, to reshape way of thinking in Montenegro. But we didn't. We didn't, and that is again the same thing that I said later. It is related with our history and with people who are really proud and who don't actually allow to call Montenegro as microstate, even though we don't have even 1 million citizens in our country. So in that concept, it is very paradoxical situation, and Montenegro is facing huge problems. We have public spendings on 70% of our GDP. I need just to say that our GDP is 3.5 billion, which is not that much. We have public debt also somewhere around 70% of our GDP. As I said, 90,000 people are working in government administration, state companies or something like that. So we are living in some kind of political capitalism, something that is very bad. And I had a lot of arguments with people from libertarian world when I said that it is the cancer of capitalism, and many people said that I'm not actually libertarian if I'm saying anything against capitalism, which was very disappointment for me. But in general, I want to say that instead of developing entrepreneurial capitalism, the real healthy capitalism, we managed to create this political capitalism, which is also maybe known as crony capitalism. And state is living like that, without anyone to doubt how many years it will live through this system. Last year we established the first Students for Liberty group in Montenegro ever, the first pro-libertarian movement in Montenegro. And it was very hard at the beginning to find people and to educate them about ideas. Because young people especially, don't believe that there is such a thing as healthy capitalism and that capitalism can bring great things. We had a huge problems. For example, in our last research that we made, 70% of our students said that government should find them a job after they finished university. The very great thing we heard about one colleague who said, this is typically for young people in our country, I studied for 4 years and now I should bother to find a job. No way, government will do that for me. And that's why we have 90,000 people in state sector. We are trying to do something different. I will allow me a bit insanity because people also think about that when I say that we are at this moment we are trying to create the new government of Montenegro. We are gathering young people who will be able to implement changes and who will work together to create a perfect system that will work for a small country like is Montenegro in process of globalization. And I think we are on the great wave. It can be something that can be beneficial for other countries, small countries as well, especially when you want to be competitive on the global market. We are trying to educate people, as Montenegro is not just a small country in one region, but it's part of the global economy, of globalization at all. And we are trying to put people in this entrepreneurial spirit because I think it's time to start something from Montenegro. There is a huge potential and it can be a motivation for other countries in region as well, as it was case in many times in history, to reshape our future. There is also something that I would like to state in this concept is that we have also one paradox that is pretty obvious if you're reading Montenegrin laws or something like that. On the paper we have perfect conditions. We have free market, low taxes, everything is perfectly written on the paper. But our institution is not working properly and we are facing in this term huge problems because it's not, state is not protecting interest and rights of all citizens. There are people who are pushed away, who are announced as the enemies of the country, and then there are those who are, I would say, great children, and someone who is listening, parents very well. And then we are asking every day how it is possible that 27 years we didn't change the ruling party, and how it is possible that 27 years we have the same party. I think this will be very problematic for Montenegro as entering to NATO and the European Union. I can, even though I'm student or bachelor student so far at International Economics, Finance and Business, I can predict economic collapse in Montenegro. And no one wants to admit it. And I think that will be the greatest lesson how concept of microstate was implemented very bad and what were the consequences of it. Unfortunately, I'm sure that this will be even bigger case study in the future, and that students will, on negative example, read how to not lead country in especially micro-state country. I think this is perfect for the beginning, and I would also like to leave a space for people to ask some questions, because I'm definitely sure that most of you are not familiar with Montenegro, and maybe you would like to find out something that is important for you or from your perspective, and I wouldn't like to go too much in many other fields, because I'm sure that it won't leave you space for questions.